More than 80% of CX leaders believe artificial intelligence will be a critical differentiator for their organizations in the future, according to CX in the Age of AI, a new report from Genesys. I'm Greg Thomas from Genesys. Join us today in the CX Green Room as we share some findings from our research and discuss how AI is transforming CX with Brent Alexander, National Manager, Customer Relationship Center at Beyond Bank. Brent, welcome to the CX Green Room.
Thanks, Greg. Really happy to be here and looking forward to the conversation today.
Likewise, thank you again for doing this. So to just set the stage a little bit for our conversation, I'm going to share a couple of the top line findings from our research, and then we'll touch on some as we go throughout our conversation. So we went out and surveyed about 1,000 CX leaders globally to find out the reality of how AI is being used, what the challenges that people are facing, and what lies ahead. And so at a very high level, CX leaders see AI as a source of both differentiation and a driver of business results, with 83% of CX leaders in our survey saying they believe AI will be a clear differentiator for them in the future, and 57% expect that it will improve financial performance. So Brent, we'll get into that, but before we do that, let's give you a non-AI question. Could you just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Beyond Bank and your role there, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the National Manager for Beyond Bank's Contact Centre, and we're one of Australia's largest customer-owned mutual banks with over 320,000 customers spread across Australia. Our vision is to be the best bank for relationships, and everything we do is really to benefit our customers and their communities. So we understand that when our customers and communities thrive, so do we. And, I guess AI plays a large part in that. And I agree with those findings. I think AI will enhance our strategy and help us have better relationships with our customers.
Yeah. So let's have you expand on that a little bit. So, those are some pretty bullish stats, right, in terms of people feeling like AI really is going to differentiate and help them drive better results. And as you said, those seem to jive with your experience. But you all are using some AI-powered CX technologies there at Beyond Bank. How do you see it helping deliver that kind of improved customer centricity that you were talking about?
Yeah, sure. So I guess at Beyond Bank, I look at it in the view of if we can improve our employee experience and customer experience, that will provide the results on the bottom line. I think the systems that we give our employees, how easy they are to use, that really has the biggest bearing on what experience the customer gets at the end of the phone call, the web chat, the email, or the social media message. And if we provide systems that frustrate them, it's just going to make sure that the customer experience isn't great at the end of the day. So I think this is where we start, and with AI and CX technologies at Beyond Bank. How do we leverage something that can create a better employee experience, and then customer experience, and then provide efficiencies, really in that order, because we think our employee experience is critical. So, for example, something like auto summarization of call notes. Now, traditionally, an agent would be talking to a customer about a really complex problem. Banking has some really tough challenges sometimes, and they'd have to worry about taking accurate call notes while focusing on the customer, their needs, and having this really critical conversation. Well, the auto summarization of call notes using AI allows staff to solely focus on the customer and their needs, and really create that stronger connection to the customer and improve the relationship with us and the bank, all while making the call length shorter through an improved after call work time. And on top of that, it adds consistency of call notes across our business, so that when other areas of the business want to look at these notes, there's a really perfect summary of what happened. For Beyond Bank, that's reduced on average for each of our staff over 10 hours of after call work per month since using auto summarization, which has then obviously had a massive impact on the bottom line in terms of how many staff we need to service our customers and provide that great experience.
Yeah, that's a significant amount of time, right, to sort of get back for every single agent in the organization.
Yeah, it's made a massive impact, and that improves things like service level, speed to answer, all of those critical metrics that are important in the contact center. But I think more importantly, our staff love talking to our customers. They work with us because they want to build those relationships, and it's allowed them to focus solely on that. So while the business benefit is important, I think that benefit to the experience of staff coming in every day, not being frustrated by complex systems and having too many things to do, has been the biggest benefit for us.
Yeah, and I think that point you made, that it allows the agents to really focus in on the conversation that they're having with the customer and build that relationship and understand kind of what that customer needs to talk about in that particular interaction without having to think, oh, I got to like go to the system and I got to like take these notes. I mean, I think it's hard to sort of overstate the amount of mental load that takes away, and that ability for the agent to then be present in that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when I think about banking, it becomes more and more complex every day. With the rise of self-service technologies, a traditional banking contact center might have been providing, very simple information. What are your branch hours? Transfers of small amounts of funds, but all of that is done through self-service now. So the calls that we do get in a banking setting are really complex. It could have been someone, wanting advice about the purchase of their first home. It could be someone who has had financial difficulties. It could be someone who unfortunately might have been a victim of a scam. So we really want customers to focus in on, we really want our staff to focus in on the customers in those environments. And this technology really allows them to do that.
Yeah. So let's move on a little bit to some of the other findings that we had in our survey. We asked the folks who took the survey to just tell us, like, out of this long list of CX technologies, like, what are you using and what are you not using? And we saw some maybe somewhat surprising results. So we saw that there are certain technologies that are very widely adopted. For example, 88% of the people who participated in the survey said they're using chatbots. 49% are using voice bots. 47% are using predictive analytics. But then there are quite a few technologies where the penetration level or the adoption level is lower, around about 20%, including about 19% using routing, 13% using post-interaction analysis, and about 11% using agent assist. So, I know you're using chatbots. Like, talk about how that's going and what the benefits you've seen for both the employee and customer are.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had a chatbot in for about 9 months now, and I think last month, looking at the statistics, it took not over 90% of the chats that were sent through to our website, and that's obviously a great benefit. It allows agents to, again, do that high value customer work where we're having those deep conversations. So that's something the employees really enjoy. But on top of that, from a customer perspective, it really allows them 24/7 access to Beyond Bank in their own time to answer, those more common queries. So at the moment, it is just the basic common queries, but we're really conscious of getting the customer experience right, because we all know it's quite easy with the chatbot. You don't want to do too many things at once and ruin that great experience you have. But, we're looking to then expand to self-service options, authenticated chats that really then open up a world of possibilities for our customers.
Yeah, and I know we've done some research earlier in the year. We went out and asked people across a broad set of generations about, what they value in the customer experience. And one thing that came through clearly across the board, every generation, was they want to be able to effectively get self-service. It's skewed a little bit more towards younger generations, as you might expect, but everybody wants that. And as you're describing, like, chatbots are just a great way to deliver on those types of things, so that, as you said, the staff can focus on the higher value things. When you think about some of the other technologies that are available, what do you think it will take for the industry to adopt some of these other technologies more broadly? And how do you think about the kinds of use cases where, hey, we should really throw a piece of technology at this?
Yeah, I'm sort of, I'm pretty bullish on the technology, so I'm keen to jump in and try things. I guess my view is to start small, with a small pilot test group, something that you can control and build confidence within the organisation or within any organisation. So I think when you do things like a chatbot, which is pretty common, people are comfortable with it, they can see the results and the value, it's important to then leverage off that and say, okay, well, this is what's available with a chatbot. Why don't we try something like predictive routing? And for Beyond Bank, that's been great too, because not only has it allowed, our more experienced agents to take some of these more complex calls, but, it's not just things like, doesn't work on things just like handle time. We've had a really great experience. I was talking to one of my staff the other day. We got feedback from a customer, and they dealt with the same staff member sort of 4 times over the course of a couple of weeks. And I thought, that was strange, because of all our staff, how random would it be that they've got the same staff member, and they were just the customer was raving about how great this staff member was. But it was actually a feature of predictive routing. It had noted that experience had been great with the staff member the first time, and then routed it to that staff member the next 2 or 3 times. And then, that feedback from the customer is, invaluable. They're going to be an advocate for our business. So I think it's, not just looking at AI and technologies to help your bottom line. It's how can you, bring that customer experience, that EX, to the forefront of your business case. And I think that then helps with the adoption and the take up of, probably the less common used technologies.
Yeah, and to your point earlier about wanting to build those relationships with your customers, right? What a great example of how the technology can support that happening. So I want to ask you about sort of that employee experience angle that you brought up. So when you've looked at what does it take to get the employee base on board, to get the agents excited about these technologies? You talked in your last answer about sort of starting small and finding those use cases. But when technology rolls out, it isn't always universally seen by the employee base, regardless of what it is, as a good thing. How have you kind of built that trust and shown the staff that, hey, these things are here to help?
Yeah, I think twofold. I think one is, I've touched on it a couple of times. The driving principle should really be to make the employees' lives simpler. It shouldn't be to cut costs, and to show them how that this piece of technology will actually make their working life better or more meaningful. So, as I said, the low value transactions, it actually allows them to have great conversations. But probably most importantly is the change management process. And I think, some of these things, it's incredibly easy to set them up. So we talk about auto summarization of notes. For us, that's a tick box in the system we use. And, then it's just on. But if you were just to turn that on and, throw it out to your staff, I think it would create all sorts of havoc, not only with the staff, but with the rest of the business. So, what we did is we really got all of our staff in. We explained to them what the tech was, what it's meant to do, and actually acknowledged that it wasn't going to be perfect from day one. So, we would need their input, their involvement, and their buy-in to actually help this work and help us make sure it's fit for purpose for us. We started with a small pilot. We picked a small group, and we picked a small group, that was varying ranges of performance across our business. So some that had really short after call work, and some that had in the middle, and then some that had longer after call work, really to show the benefit across the whole spectrum of our contact center. We ran a pilot for about a month, and then we got those people to be the advocates for the system in terms of how it had made their lives easier, and really brought them along with the process, and then slowly expanded out. The other area we then focused on was obviously the rest of the business. So the contact center writes notes, but it's often the rest of the business that looks at these notes. So we had to acknowledge that they wouldn't obviously be perfect from day one, but they would improve over time. And what we're able to do is show them the quality from day 1, day 30, day 60, day 90, to where now they're flawless notes, and really also understands our language, which in banking can be sometimes quite difficult.
Yeah, that's super interesting. The idea that that broader sort of use case for things that come out of the contact center, because sometimes contact centers can be a little siloed and myopic, and to sort of see that the benefit is broadly applicable is really cool. So let's stay a little bit on kind of the employee side of things. We asked people in our survey, what do you see in terms of potential kind of concerns, but also benefits when you think about rolling out AI in the contact center and sort of towards the employees. And 49% said that, yeah, we see that employee concerns are a potential obstacle for adopting more AI solutions. But they also were very clear that they see AI helping to improve the employee experience, in some of the ways maybe that you had just talked about. That there are 62% of organizations are using or piloting AI to help improve agent efficiency. Just over half are looking to surface things from the knowledge base more quickly. And then on the job front, 60%, just shy of 2/3, expect that there will be new roles created, supervisory roles to support these kinds of technologies. What have you seen, in addition to kind of what you've talked about, as you've rolled out more and more technology, that that's come up as concerns, and how have you made sure that people see the kinds of benefits that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, sure. It's a really great question. I think from a concerns perspective, there's always a level of distrust with AI. So, and I think that's because a lot of the talk around AI is how it's going to get rid of everyone's jobs. We're not going to have anything to do. So I really do think it comes from how you position the tool itself. So, none of what we do at Beyond Bank is to decrease our staff, remove staffing from the equation. It's actually to allow them to do the things they really enjoy most, and that's servicing our customers and connecting with them in those moments that matter along their financial wellbeing journey. And so for me, trust is built through continually walking the walk and talking the talk in terms of we're doing this for your experience and for our customers, staying true to our values, and then showing them in a step-by-step way. So what I wouldn't do is come out and roll 5 pieces of AI technology tomorrow. But for example, the summarization we talked about, there was definitely concerns with that in the initial rollouts. There was things like, well, the notes aren't going to be good enough. They're not quite up to standard. But over time, we stayed true to that. We sought their feedback. We had them involved in the journey, and the trust continued to grow. So that then when we looked at the next piece of AI technology, there was already this base level of trust. So I think it's about starting, in an area that provides real benefit to your employees and your customers, and then growing from there.
Yeah, and you touched on a couple of really important ideas in there, right? One is that AI or any technology, yes, it may help with costs and efficiency, but ultimately it's meant to help drive kind of the business forward, right? And you have to make sure you're looking at that side of the equation as well. And then, that when people see the benefit, when employees see the benefit of something, a lot of that concern drops away because they see, ironically, the technology is helping me do my job better when I was concerned about maybe the technology being, a detriment to my job. So we also ask people about kind of skill sets when it comes to kind of the agent, and what's important now and what might be important sort of looking out in the future. And no surprise that what I might call kind of uniquely human skills, such as empathy and compassion and problem solving, really rise in importance over the next sort of 5 years. Empathy goes from being 44% as important now, 69% 5 years out. And problem solving skills, 82% now, and 95% in the future, and far and away the most important skill that people kind of cited in the survey. So some of these skill evolutions are underway, and some of these things are already important. But when you think about what's going to be the sort of critical set of skills for an agent to be successful in the future, what do you think about, and what do you see as the areas there where that development of skills really needs to happen?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree that we're already at the point that you mentioned. So the human skills, empathy, compassion, problem solving, I already think they are the most important, and they're exactly the skills we're going to need in the future, especially from a financial services perspective. Problem solving is probably going to be up there, but if you don't have the empathy and compassion during those really tough conversations, it's sort of you need all of them to make it work. And that's especially true for Beyond Bank. If our vision is to be the best bank for relationships, it's these skills that and values align really closely to creating a great relationship. So I think we're already there from an agent perspective. I think if we don't have those, then it's just not going to work. Where I do think we'll continue to evolve, and from a leadership perspective, it's coaching and coaching skills. So all this stuff is already critical and important, but I think they're going to be at the top list of all leader capabilities, because we've got so much information at our fingertips. AI is going to give us all the data, all the stats. But then really where you're going to have success is how you apply it, how you support the development of these human skills with their staff. So coaches will become really the most important thing in a contact center, and there may be more of them. It might be more specialized roles as that continues to grow. Where I do think there will be a shift in contact centers, I sort of view the contact center as a mini business almost now. As the amount of technology increases, I think there will be specialized roles within the contact center or within your CX division that support the development of the tools within the contact center. So I think things like knowledge managers who are responsible for making sure that the surfacing of knowledge and improving speed to competency will become critical, and automation and bot developers that support the self-service channels and your chatbots. I think they're going to sit within the contact center, supported by your critical business units outside, like IT and other areas of the business. But I think having them innately inbuilt into your CX division will actually then allow you to have that massive, great customer experience that you want to deliver.
Yeah, and I think in that way, quite similar to other technology transitions in the past, right? Where their jobs created and their jobs changed, and we don't always know exactly what it's going to look like, but there's always some kind of new opportunity that opens up. Okay, so final question, Brent, as we round the poll here for home, for the folks who are watching and they're thinking about their own journey about adopting AI in CX, what advice would you give folks?
I think just to start. So I think there's sometimes a paralysis by, it's all too hard, it's all too big. Find something small, summarization, a chatbot, whatever it is in your organization, and just give it a go in a small trial fashion and build confidence from there.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Brent, thank you so much for joining us today in the CX Green Room and sharing your expertise. For more on today's topic, scan this QR code or click the link in the comments. And also be sure to follow Genesys on LinkedIn to get notified about the next CX Green Room, new articles in our newsletter, and more. And of course, please like and share the show. We'll see you next time in the CX Green Room. Thanks again, Brent.
Thanks, Greg.